All right. All right. Good evening, everyone. We're going to get started. It's a little after 6 o'clock. Thank you for being here tonight. I know it's a small crowd tonight, but I think a lot of people are at the City Council meeting. I guess they're talking about the Bridge shelter, the Bridge homeless shelter tonight. So I imagine a lot of them are right there. But thank you for being here, and we're here to talk about proposed rate increases in the solid waste rates, and just like you, we don't like rate increases either, and that's probably why we haven't had a rate increase in the past 15 years. This is our first solid waste rate increase in 15 years. In fact, in the last 5 years, we had 2 rate decreases. So that's kind of unheard of nowadays. But we're going to go over why the proposed rate increase, what we are planning for the future, and then we'll be able to answer all the questions you may have. There'll be other public meetings about the proposed rates publicly, and be able to answer questions. The plan is for the board to consider adopting the rates in the May meeting, and then those rates will go into effect in July of this year. Again, my name is Scott Carroll. I am the General Manager for the Costa Mesa Sanitary District. I also want to acknowledge some of my board members are here. I have Vice President Bob Uten, Secretary Arlene Schaefer, Director Art Perry, and then some of my staff members here. I got Caitlin Tran, Senior Accountant. I got Mark Davis, District Treasurer. Nabila Guzman, who's going to be helping me with my presentation, and she was very instrumental in putting this presentation and collaborating with our consultant on the study. She'll be helping me. And then you got Delani, our district clerk, and Gina, our management analyst, too. So, all right, so this is what we're going to talk about today is, again, the rate history, where have we been in the past, why we're doing the rate increase. And then under Prop 218 regulations, when you are proposing a rate increase, you have to justify those increases. Why are you going to have those increases? So we're going to talk about that methodology and objectives. We're going to break down the costs. As you'll see, our solid waste budget is about $5 million. I'd say 90% of that is for CR&R, for our waste hauler that picks up the trash and recycling. So you'll see that cost. We're also going to talk about some the basic levels of service and then a lot of additional waste diversion programs you might not be aware of that's included in that rate. We'll talk about recommended options, and then there is an alternative valuation, alternative rate schedule, and we'll talk about that too. So this is a history of the rates here in Costa Mesa Sanitary District, and as you see. We right here, this is annual rates, and this $216 a year is $18 a month. And we lowered that in 2013. First we lowered it, first we had it up here from the last rate increase we had was actually in 2005. So it went to $239.41, which is $19.95 a month. And at that time, around 2011, we had about $5 million in our reserves, our solid waste reserves. And we started thinking, well, why do we have that much money? We really don't need that much because we don't have any capital expenses. It's all contracted out with CR&R. So why do we have that much money? And so we said, well, let's give some of that money back to the ratepayers. And so we did that. And so the board approved a rate reduction to $19 a month in 2012. And then in 2013, it's been $18 a month, and it's been like that since. And we were able to use our reserves from our solid waste rates to offset any expenditures. Now that, as you'll see later in the presentation, we're dwindling down the reserves a lot faster because of the organic recycling program. And we'll talk a little about that here in a second, but that's one of the significant reasons why our reserves are dwindling. Okay, so why do we need a rate increase? So as I mentioned, our reserves are dwindling, but we cannot totally expend our reserves because, as you know, our tax, the solid waste rates are assessed on your property tax roll. So when you get your property tax, you'll see a line item for the sanitary district, and on there is their solid waste rate. We get those revenues from the county twice a year. We get them in November and in April, and so 5 months out of the year, as you see, basically from June through October, we get very, very, if any, revenues. In fact, for solid waste, we don't get any revenues. We get a little revenue on the wastewater side, but on the revenue side, we don't get any revenues. So we don't get any revenues, and yet we have bills to CRNR that's over $400,000 a month. And so we have to pay those bills. And so that's why we need at least $2 million in the reserves to pay for that. And as I said, as our reserves are dwindling down, we don't want to go below that $2 million, otherwise we'd be jeopardizing paying our bills. As I mentioned earlier, one of the significant increases is our organics recycling program, which I hope you're participating in. We are the first organization in Southern California to actually implement food scraps recycling. So you can, in addition to your green waste, you can throw your food scraps in there. And then that's taken to an anaerobic digestion facility in Paris, and it's converted into natural gas, the same kind of gas you find on your oven. And we use that gas to power our trash trucks. And I have on the table over here, I just got this just about maybe 2 hours ago in my office, and it's basically a policy alert about a new regulation that's going to be going into effect real soon. And it's saying that organic waste diversion poses big challenges for California. Because what you also find on the table are these, is a sheet, and there's a bunch of regulations in here that Governor Brown signed into law. And the one year you'll see that sticks out the most is 2020. That's next year. And all these laws are going to be implemented. And some of the big laws that are going to be implemented, it has to do with organic recycling. And unfortunately, a lot of cities are waiting to the last minute. And unfortunately, for doing that, they're kind of in a fix, because they know anaerobic digestion system, the organics, is expensive. Yes, it is, but it's the best way to recycle the organics and reuse that materials. The other option would be composting, but there's just not enough composting facilities that are going to handle the demand, and so cities are struggling. They're going to know what to do. We know from our organic recycling program that the residents here in Costa Mesa wanted that program, because in 2012 we did a survey. We surveyed 1,000 of our residents, and we asked them, if we implement an organic recycling program, would you want to do that? An overwhelming majority of them said yes, we'd want to do the organic recycling program. And then we asked them, well, would be willing to pay more, because that is more expensive. And surprisingly, most residents said yes, they'd be willing to pay between $1 to $5 a month. And do we have that survey on our website? I don't know if we do or not. We'll put it on our website. It's a 2012 survey. We'll put it back on our website, and so you can see the results for 1,000 residents we surveyed and the findings that they had, or the results, the information they gave us. Lastly, we wanted to mention is our haulers, CRNR. We're expecting them to request a CPI increase and their cost to the district. They haven't requested one in the past 10 years, so we believe they're going to request one. It's nothing. It's not automatic. It has to be approved by the board of directors. That was something we negotiated a new contract, that any kind of rate increases that CNR is going to request, the board has to approve it. So if they don't approve it, we can adjust those rates later. But we're assuming that it might be approved. I think we're assuming about 3% CPI. So that's included in the proposed rate as well. So this is our 3 objectives that we're trying to achieve from the study. As I mentioned earlier, we want to limit our deficit and make sure we're in compliance with our code. Our code says right now that if you look at our operations code, that we would keep in our reserve 25% of our operational costs in the solid waste budget. 25% gets us about $1.5 million. So we're going to have to go back to the board and request increasing that to about 35%, so we can maintain that $2 million in reserves to pay our bills. As I mentioned ensuring our rates cover our operational costs, and then what I'll talk a little bit earlier, or Nabita's going to talk a little bit later, we want to also explore in the future talking about our variable rate system. So in other words, if you have a 90-gallon cart, you're going to pay more than a 65-gallon cart, and if you have a 65-gallon cart, you're going to pay more than a 30-gallon cart. Because in theory, what we're leading on towards is solid waste is just like any other utility, like a water. You use more water, you're going to pay more. You use more gas, you're going to pay more. Just like trash. You're going to throw away more trash, you're going to pay more. So we're going to explore that in the future. That's one we're going to explore in a few years. This is a breakdown of how our costs work. So there's 3 components to our cost of CRNR. The first one is what we call the occupancy, and that's about $9.80 per unit per household, and that's basically the driver going around picking up the cart. That's the cost. And then we have what's called a mixed waste tonnage. As you know, we mix waste, our waste. We don't source separate it. We throw our recyclables and our trash into one cans. Then that's taken all over to CRNR's recycling center or transfer station in Stanton, and they pick out the recyclables. They take it out the waste stream, and then they take it to the markets. That is charging us $51.97 per ton. Now you have the organics tonnage rate, and that's $71.50 per ton. Now that rate, we are guaranteed the lowest rate for any CRNR customers because, as I mentioned earlier, we were the first ones to implement this program. And under that, we were guaranteed that rate. The going rate right now for CRNR's 80 facilities is about $100 a ton, and that's going to go up as we get closer to 2020. But we're always guaranteeing that rate, and if they ever negotiate, if they ever find a better negotiator than I was and get a better rate, then we're guaranteed that lower rate. As I mentioned before, CRNR does not have an overall rate increase in the past 10 years. This is basically, as you know, your current service is for, you get 2 65-gallon mixed waste carts and 2 65-gallon organic carts. Basically, you get 4 carts. Most communities have 3 carts. You have 4 carts. We do have people, and you may be one of them, have a 90-gallon carts. That's because they were grandfathered in when we went, when CRNR took over the contract in 2006. The district owned those carts, and we had a lot of 90-gallon carts, and we just grandfathered those in when CRNR took them over. So, but when people have 90-gallon carts and they trade their carts in, we give them 65 gallons, and that's probably why they try to hold on to the 90-gallon carts as long as they can. But yeah, that's the standard cart for $18 a month. I think this is the last slide. Then okay, this is my last slide, and then I'm going to turn it over to Nabila. But these are all the additional programs that are offered to you that's part of the rate that you pay, that $18 a month rate that you pay, or $216 a year. These are the programs you get. You get large item pickups. You can put up to 10 items for each collection, up to 30 items a year. So basically, you can call 3 times a year and put up to 10 items. Or you can just lump one collection and put 30 items out. I live in Orange. I can only put out 4 items. I cannot put out 10. And this is, I don't think any other communities can have that many large item collections. We just implemented our door-to-door household hazard waste collection to all the residents. It used to only be available to seniors and disabled residents. So now that if you have a used oil, if you have antifreeze, paint, pesticides, landscape chemicals, anything like that, you call CRNR, they'll schedule a collection day, you put it in a box, leave it on your front porch, they'll pick it up for you. You no longer have to drive to Huntington Beach to drop them off. So that's a nice program we have. Sharps collection program. We have people who may be diabetics, you know, or need to use needles. Out here in the front lobby, when you walk through the front doors, you'll see a box. You could, as long as the sharps in a safe contained box, which we do offer, you can drop those off. If you have old, unused pharmaceutical medicine, there's another box out here. You can drop that off anytime you want to. You can also, at the OCC Recycling Center, we have a great partnership with the Recycling Center. You can drop off light bulbs, light tubes, and alkaline battery recyclings at no cost. If you love frying turkeys during the holiday, which I do, you know, you have usually like 10 gallons of grease. What do you do with that grease? Well, you take it over to the OCC Recycling Center. They'll collect it, and they'll recycle it at no charge for you. This is a brand new program we implemented. If you walked in the front door, you'll see a box kind of wrapped in an American flag with an eagle on it. If you have a worn, torn out American flag, you can dispose it in that box, and then a local Cub Scout here in Costa Mesa will pick up those flags, and they'll dispose it properly by burning it or burying it. Unfortunately, we were seeing a lot of flags in the landfill, and we didn't think that's not the proper way to dispose of the American flag. So we just implemented that program. If you have school children, we do have an alkaline battery recycling program. It's a way for schools to raise money for their school, as well as teach recycling, the importance of recycling. So we have a little competitive contest. Any school that brings in the most alkaline battery recycling gets what, $1,500, $1,200, receives $1,200, and as low as I think $100. So it's nice money. What, it's throughout the year. When is it?
It's through, September through October,
It's,
September through April.
yeah, it's almost throughout the whole school year. And so they have boxes. All you gotta do is bring the batteries and they'll put it in the box for you.
I saw that several schools have seen it already.
What, if you live in the schools, well,
We have that on stocks for years and that
Why? I had not,
we were always, it's in the student stores. They have the barrel and we divide. I don't know if they still do it there.
yeah.
Yeah, it was in the activity stops. Yeah, we did. We always did it all.
I mean, I remember the top ones, but I don't remember the.
Yeah.
We went from the top.
Yeah, it's been very, very successful.
We've done it many times.
Last two programs I wanted to talk about, this is a brand-new program again, and we're combining them. So in April, we're combining a free mulch program giveaway along with an annual textile collection clothes giveaway. We see a lot of people are throwing their clothes away, which they could be donated. So you can go that we're going to have at the Orange Coast College Recycling Center, where you could drop off any unused clothes and then pick up a bag of mulch. So you do your any kind of gardening. And we're really excited about that program. That's going to be in April. So all these programs are in addition to just your curbside collection. These are all the programs that are paid out of your $216 a year rate. That's, you guys will see, we'll be increasing here slightly. You ready? I'm going to turn over to Nabila, and she's going to follow about 8 slides here. She'll tell you about the rates and what's planned for the future. So I'm going to turn over to Nabila.
Good evening. Good evening. Based on feedback received at the District Citizens Advisory Committee on January 9th, staff is recommending a one-time rate increase that would be effective July 1st, 2019. The proposed increased rates would be of $19.95 a month or $230.40 annually. These are the same rates that the district had between 2005 and 2011. It is a monthly increase of $195 a month or $23.40 annually. That increase would be equivalent to 2 fast food runs, a lunch or dinner date, or 6 Starbucks coffee. The recommended option, if adopted, CMSD will still be operating at a deficit. But this annual increase will allow us not to fall below the $2 million reserve level for the next 2 years. The increase will be bringing over an estimated $600,000 both years. This will give district staff time to acquire a new billing system and verify cart size data. Verification of cart sizes for all our homeowners is necessary because projections and future rates will be based on this data. If the data is incorrect, projections and future rates will be inaccurate. On the screen is a snapshot of the solid waste budget, and CMSD salaries and benefits are only 8% of our operating expenses. In comparison, Mesa Water District salaries and benefits are 32% of their budget, and 76% of the budget for the City of Costa Mesa's Public Services Department, who oversees the multifamily and commercial franchise, solid waste franchise. During fiscal year 2021, a new rate study will be conducted to implement rates by cart sizes. As my general manager said, we believe solid waste should be charged as a utility, so residents that throw away more trash and have the 90-gallon carts should pay more than those that have a 35-gallon cart. A rate increase will be needed to be implemented in fiscal year 22-23 so that our reserve levels do not fall below the $2 million rate. And I have circled it in red. In fiscal year 22-23, we go below the $2 million. New rates at that time will be adopted by July 1st, 2021. The alternative option is a flat rate increase for all cart sizes, so it would be a similar model that we have now. It would be a flat rate increase no matter how many or what size carts you have. The increase is 7% increase for the first 3 years, and then a 6% increase the following 2 years. A cumulative total of 33% or a total increase in dollar amount of $73.23. That would be the total increase over 5 years, and below on the chart, it would be the annual rates every year and the monthly rates per year. That is the alternative option. The Board of Directors has set a goal of being within 10% of the county average. This chart shows the monthly rates for each city in Orange County. The gray bar is our current rates of $18, and the orange bar is our proposed rates of $19.95. As you can see, we are well between, we're at average monthly rates, and I would like to note that rates will be increasing in the near future for all these cities because they do not have an organics program. And with AB 1383 being active in 2020, all of these cities need to have an organics program, and most of these cities do not have an option yet, so when they implement a program, they will need to pay for it, which will be passed down to the taxpayers. This is a comparison of cash balances for those visual learners like me. In dark blue is our cash balances under the proposed rates of $19.95. In gray, it's all our alternative rates of the 5-year increase. And in light blue, it's our cash balance of no increases implemented. So as you can see, the blue one takes us through fiscal year 2023 before another rate increase is implemented. If we choose the alternative rate, that takes us through fiscal year 23-24 with no rate increases. And unfortunately, if we do not do a rate increase, we will be below the minimum reserve rate, target rate by next fiscal year. This is the schedule of our next upcoming public meetings. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, February 12th at 9:30. This is our Board of Directors study session. District staff and our consultant will be here to present the proposed and alternative rates. The public is invited to all of these meetings to continue the discussion of the rates. This schedule is available on our district website and as a handout on the table to the right. This concludes our presentations. We are available for any questions.
So is the rate currently on, what do you have, 1 or 2?
Whatever rate, everybody pays the same rate.
So it doesn't matter if we have 2 cans or 1?
No, it does not matter. You have the ability to get 4.
Right now, what you're considering is that you're going to have to pay extra if you have 2 cans.
Well, this has been presented to the board here, so we have a board study session that's going to be presented by the person that came up with these ideas, and we're going to have to make a decision for if we want to go with option 1 or option 2, either variable rate or we're going to go with the same rate, so that will be the discussion that we have. Is that correct? Yes.
The alternative rate would not charge you per cart. You would still have the ability to get 4. It would just charge you based on the size. So you could have 2 90-gallon carts, 2 65s, or 2 35s. And it would just, the rate would change depending what size cart you have. It wouldn't limit the number of carts you get.
Okay, this is the first question is the only, I have 2 90s this, probably more, but I only use one of them, and I use the second one, like, put it on the one that I clean the house and I do the rest. So I only put out like 1 can every 2 or 3 weeks. So I think I'm gonna stop at my house if you, so it doesn't matter what, you stop, we don't stop, we still.
I think the way we're going to evaluate this is go out and see every can that's on the street and the survey, right? Our farmers got to evaluate, so, I mean, we have to, as a board, we have to decide if we want to go with that variable rate. Because there's going to be a lot of, it could be a high inflation rate when people have more cans versus the ones that just have smaller, so that's what we have to evaluate.
Yeah, if I could, even if you're putting out one 90-gallon cart, we would, on the variable rate system, you'll still be charged the 90-gallon cart. So if that's all you're doing, maybe you downgrade to a 64-gallon cart, and it'll save you some money.
If you charge a big rate.
Yes, correct.
If
Sure,
we
everyone.
go to that,
If the board approves that program, correct. Correct.
And that would be implemented in 3 years.
Yeah.
So So right now, the rate would go up to $19.95, which is a $1.95 increase monthly. And in 3 years, we would do another rate study after we have verified cart sizes for all homeowners. So at that time, you'll see the increase based on the size you get. And at that time, you can, if you only put your cart out because it's so big every 2 to 3 weeks, maybe you can downsize to a 35 or a 60.
You go
You
to,
save some money, and then you're getting the best service for your money.
yeah, so like Nabila says, so what we're proposing is the 1995, which will be 239 for next fiscal year, and it'll stay that for the following year. So it'll be basically it'll be the same rate for 2 years. And then this is where we're projecting the variable rate if the board approves it. And that's why we put a question mark is because we don't know what those rates are. That's fine. So we'll do another town hall meeting, another study before those rates are implemented. So.
That's what the board has to see, what the rates would be for the people that have a lot, big cans, especially the small ones, to make sure that, that's, we just have to see what how that results come out. Make a good decision.
Sometimes I see some, people down in mine, they have like a lot of 50 boxes, right, like you say, Amazon boxes. They just put all the cardboard boxes like on top of the trash can.
The trash can, you pick it up.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah.
Nobody would pick my stuff. So they're back into the trash.
Every driver's a little different.
Yeah, I always tear my boxes up and put it in the car. I help my driver out, but yeah, that's what I do too. So, all right. So there's plenty. Again, this is only the second time we've had a public discussion about the rates. As let me go back. Oh, that one. As you see, we have quite a few more public meetings. So there's a lot of times if you don't have any comments, or maybe if you thought of something after the meeting, you can either email myself or Nabila, or you can attend any of these meetings. We definitely want to engage as much residents as we can before the board decides on the rates.
When do we have to make a decision on the first rate?
Well, we're hoping to get some direction by you, at least by March 12th. Because by March 12th, then we have to send out the notices 45 days in advance to comply with Prop 218. The notice is going to have all that information, and so we'll need some kind of direction from the board by March 12th. And then the board will make their decision on May 23rd.
Now, is March 12th, is that just a study session?
It's a study session.
We wouldn't vote on anything on March 12th.
Well, you could. I would, or just give us direction. Give us direction, because you're going to formally make your vote on the May 23rd. Yeah.
Because this is really, the whole board's not heard this presentation. Just Bob and I, or the CAC, this is the first time we're inserted.
Well, and correct, and the one at CAC was different than this one because of the comments we received. Let me go back. We first proposed that at the CEC, the alternative rate. We proposed that to the CEC, the consultant did, and the Citizen Advisory Committee actually said, well, it doesn't seem fair that a senior citizen is throwing one bag of garbage away and being charged the same amount as someone who's throwing two 90-gallon carts. They like the variable rate system. And so after we heard their comments, Nabila and I went back to our offices and started thinking about, okay, how can we do this? There's a way. The reason why we couldn't do it right away is because we don't have a lot of confidence in the inventory out there. And so what we want to do is hire some interns, basic boots on the ground, and then go walk the streets and check, okay, this house has 90, this has 64 gallons, and then we put it in our GIS system and we have the data. And then if the board wants to go on the variable rates, we'll have good data. We'll know the right charges to charge the residents. So that's why we're proposing the variable rates 3 years from now, if the board approves that.
Explain what the CAC was.
The Citizens Advisory Committee. So the Citizens Advisory Committee, there are 11 citizens of our service area. They're appointed by the district, by the board of directors. They're advisory capacity. They will make recommendations to the board. They were meeting monthly. They just approved meeting bi-monthly. However, they are having a meeting next month, and then they have a month in March, and then it won't be next until May. But again, that's open to the public. They're very, they're very good group. Ask a lot of good questions, give us a lot of good directions. So, yes.
Don't we have some openings coming up?
Yes, we do. Thank you, Director Perry. We do have openings. They couple of seats, they're 1-term and 2-year terms. The 1-year terms are coming up. I think we're advertising in 6 months, right? Or
No, we have 6.
openings, yeah, 6 openings. So, I think I just saw it on social media that we sent something out. Yes. Yeah.
It was also in the newsletter.
Is it in your newsletter? Yes. In the newspapers?
We're always looking for.
Yes, we are.
Is it by district? Like
No.
It's
No.
in our service area, in our service area.
Yep.
Because we have a wide variety of people that are part of this right now. There's like 11 members right there.
Yes, correct. 11. Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's open to questions.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. All right. Any questions?
The CRNR, do they go through competitive bidding, or how long do they have the contract, and how do they increase based on, if they need, they need to make an increase to the budget?
No, they have not. It's not a public works contract, so by law they don't have to do competitive bidding. The boards always had the philosophy that they can negotiate a good, fair rate with CRNR, which we just did negotiations with them last year and implemented a new contract. One thing in our contract is that if they're proposing a rate increase, we have the rights to look at their books to see what their profit margins are. So, but we can't really share that with the public, but as long as we're satisfied that, let's say their profit margin is like 3% or 4%, and we think, okay, maybe a increase is justifiable. But at least, it gives that authority to confirm that a CPI is warranted or not.